Hello, hello, hello. Oi! Okay, I'm gonna send some stuff to my Discord. Let me just get these images.
This may be inedibly hot.
Okay,
or something.
Put it over here.
Where it might be the perfect temperature. I have no.
Okay, fine, great, perfect, thank you. Where am I? Hello. Hi. Hi, Gabor. How are you? I am feeling pretty okay right now. My neck isn't bothering me a huge amount, and I am relieved that I got an MRI referral. Well, there's something crazy making about going to the ER and being dismissed with, you know, basically being called a hypochondriac. So, I'm glad they paid attention the second time. And, yeah. Alright, so, I have plans today. Let me send along some images to my reference photos. So I'm going to send some images to my reference photos here so that you all can see some of what I'm working with. There we go. And we will send that. Go. And I need to get a second sketchbook. Wait. So I have sent some images over to my Discord so you can see them there if you want. Yeah, I'm glad I did too. I was feeling a little extra crazy doing that, but yeah. So Encrusted Saxifrage is a Arctic succulent sort of plant, and it was all over and flowering when I went to Porphyry Island. It grows out on the rocks there. So I wanted to do a little illustration of that and make a video about it. And my plan is to paint both the saxifrage and the background with it. Sorry. I've also been served lunch. I know it's late, but anyway, so it's going to include things like cast shadows, which are not frequently considered to be a part of botanical art like botanical artists will frequently just paint the plant, which takes it out of context, and I feel like it can help you focus on the structure of the plant itself, but it loses, by doing that, you lose a lot of the other knowledge about where that plant grows and where you might find it, and actually getting to know that plant. So I feel like it is, you know, this style of botanical art where you just have a plant on a plain white background, that is not a thing that you're ever going to see in nature. So I feel like this is a field that's ripe for disruption, and I want to explore that a little. So I'm going to be painting this, background and all. Including the lichens that are found around it, the stone that's around it. You know, this is the context that you'll find this plant in. And so that's going to be interesting. And so I did a little composition study for here and took some notes, and I'm going to do some sketching. Is my sound okay, by the way? Okay, now let's go see my references. All right, this one. We're just gonna start with this one. Right. I want to start with the scene. So I am painting on, this is a, this is aqua board, this stuff. So I've been painting on panels a lot, but mostly it's watercolor. Mostly the panels I'm using are watercolor paper that's mounted to aluminum composite panel. This is something else. This is a clay substrate that's mounted to a, what's it? Hardboard. What's the other word for it? Sorry, my brain's not working great. If you have been in touch with me the past few days, you know that that's it's actually a really big thing right now. Anyway, this is something a little bit different than what I've been regularly painting on, but it has the advantage that it's a scratch board, so you can scratch away the surface, and because this is a very white, sort of powdery flower, I'm wondering whether that will be useful for this thing. So, that's what we're experimenting with. It's interesting. I'm looking at my reference photos and realizing that the way the shadows were cast, how I saw them in person, is very different from how they show up in the photos. Which is, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna do some basic, you know, find the intersection corner things here. Maybe a little bit higher. Yep, a little bit higher there. And so this is where I'm gonna put the center of my little rosettes. And then let's see how I had set up my Sorry, I have food. Sound as perfect as the camera. Particle board? Kind of like particle board, yeah. MDF, I guess? Medium density fiberboard. Hi, Dan. All right, so sketching. Let's see. Let's get a close-up of these little plants. Right. So people do some really interesting things with these boards. You can layer ink and scratch it away and do a lot of adding and subtracting. I have largely avoided them because the aqua board has an absorbent finish on it, but is a cold press finish. It's got quite a bumpy surface. There is something called a clay board, which I've tried, that has a very smooth surface, but it's so smooth that it's like painting on plastic, and it's not very absorbent at all. And so in order to use these and get a smooth surface, I guess I could probably either sand this one or add a watercolor ground to the clay board. But that is more trouble than I'm really willing to go to. However, it's nice to have options when I want to it's nice to have options when I want to Can you tell that my brain just isn't working? When I want to have white highlights that I can scrape away, because I don't like using, the only thing I hate more than bumpy paper is masking fluid. So, and I guess I'm a whiny brat about my materials, is what we're discovering here today. And so being a whiny brat about my materials, somebody wants to make me a pre-made board. Oh yeah, that's the other thing, is I am not the do-everything myself sort of artist. I try to keep it that way. As I try to remember that I don't have to do everything myself and outsource things that I don't want to do because I don't have that much time. But the problem is that I've forgotten what I was saying. Okay, my neck is feeling better, but my brain is still not working. Hang on, let me put you on TV. Okay, cool, sweet. So you can see me on the big screen and see what little scribbles I'm doing over here. Let me put this over here. Over here. Ah! No! Where'd it go? Yeah, let's go there. Okay. Do any of you use Shopify? I think I've asked this before and the answer was no. I have a Shopify site and it's great, except that it keeps on disabling my checkout, which is really annoying given how much I'm paying to have an e-commerce site that then my e-commerce just decides to go and kill itself every so often. I think I will be switching back to Etsy at some point. Oh gosh, that's a terrifying prospect after all the effort that we put into making maybe not on Etsy. I feel like I've got too much sunk cost here. I use Squarespace, but not the commerce. Yeah. Well, until I can find the brain cells to blog regularly again, I really am primarily a commerce site, so it made sense, at least in theory, to go with Shopify. I'm not making enough sales to warrant the cost for an e-commerce website. I mean, if we're honest, neither am I. Like, Etsy would definitely be cheaper. The monthly fees on Shopify are a little exorbitant. But I have an Etsy plugin. Yeah. I'm just gritting my teeth and trying to devote that time, or my assistant's time or whatever, to scaling my shop instead, right? But if we're honest, like right now, yeah, no, it's not paying for it. At some point, I also would love to talk to you, Dan, about YouTube analytics. Or really anyone here who's also a video creator. I've been playing with making some changes to my intros and video formats and stuff. Trying to adjust to both, you know, what I want, what purpose I want videos to serve in my business, but also trying to figure out pin down what purpose I want videos to serve in my business, but also, oh goodness, my goodness, sorry, I am losing my mind. This is so unfortunate. Trying to rebuild my business here, and I'm struggling with the fact that my brain is working at, not even close to like a fraction of the capacity. What? the hell am I doing over here? Ugh. I mean, I'm okay, but part of the problem is so I'd love to get some comparison points. Oh man, this sounds awful. Okay. I would love to get some comparison points on where other artists in my own niche are with the YouTube metrics, because YouTube will compare your own metrics to other videos of yours. So, you know, oh, okay, you have 30% retention. Great. What does that mean? Like, is that good? Is that bad? You know, it'll say, oh, well, this one has 35 and this one has 25, so, you know, the 35 one is good. But then you go to creator forums and you hear people talk about, you know, their 70% retention or whatever. That one's rare. But it's hard to get a feel for what I can expect with my content, because my content isn't, say, Mr. Beast, right? It's never going to be Mr. Beast. So, you know, it's not it's not that I want to go spying on yours or Lana's content and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing better than you, but I do want to know, you know, for reference, like, how are different videos performing, not just my own, but, what is that, an eraser? I thought it was forbidden to use. It is absolutely an eraser, and yes, I break my own rules, so there, ha. I make the rules so I can break them. Anyway, yeah, I don't mean to, like, go, you know, being nasty about other people's content, but, there's just there's a level of, like, okay, I need some way to frame this. Like, I need some way of framing, like, what I can reasonably expect. Because if I guess that there's areas where I'm sure there's diminishing returns versus there's areas that I'm sure I can do lots of improvement, and I think it's much more meaningful for me to see, you know, okay, well, this is what your metrics look like, and this is what Ev's metrics look like, and this is what Lana's metrics look like, in various different things, and like, oh, okay, so whatever. Versus, I can't find my retention info. Okay, I can guide you to it, because I've been poking. I spent a long while at the ER yesterday. So, I know exactly where retention data is, because what else am I going to do other than obsess over retention data? If you go into your YouTube Creator Studio and you go to Analytics, you can click on individual videos, and then within the videos, or whatever, you can click on the, like, you can open up the pages for individual videos in Creator Studio, and so you can see the details, but you can also see Analytics, Editor, blah, 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 blah. If you go to Video Analytics, and then under Video Analytics, you go to, actually, it's right on the main overview page. It'll show a graph of retention, and the two things that are supposed to be interesting are how many people are watching around the 30-second mark, and what your average percentage viewed is. There's also like a shape of the curve and spikes and dips and what have you. Those are less interesting. Mostly because like spikes and dips, my experience is mostly spikes and dips are just a symptom of, in my case, when a video hasn't seen a lot of views at all. In very, very, very popular videos that I've had up for years, occasionally there's something interesting in the spikes and dips, but most of the time it's just like, yeah, the spikes and dips are just kind of random because, you know, if it's only been watched by 300 people, you know, a few people skip, whatever, and it creates some nonsense. So there's generally nothing terribly interesting in the spikes and dips, but there is the 30-second retention and the overall. And I can tell you my retention hovers between like 20 to 30% of the video length. It is slightly longer for shorter videos, but not much, like not enough to, you know, make up for the fact that people are still watching more on longer videos. So preference for longer videos, but it's like, I don't know, you know, there are creators out there who say, oh, you should be aiming for like a 50 or 70% retention, and, you know, 80% at, oh my goodness, how do I keep doing this? I'm sorry. I'm just not, meditate. Yes, and I tend to agree with that, is that the algorithm is just reflective of people, but even within that, there's still going to be a difference between the way someone watches a gaming channel versus the way that someone watches an educational channel versus the way that someone watches Mr. Beast, right? Can't find retention at all. I will, oh, okay. All right, so you go to Creator Studio, right? In your account, you go to, I mean, maybe if you can't find it, that might even be best. Okay, so, right. So if you click on, from your channel, you click on Customize Channel, and then you click on Dashboard. Now you're in your Creator Studio, yes? Now you can click on any of those little video thumbnails, or you can click on Content on the sidebar and click on a video. And if you hover over one of the videos, it'll show up details, analytics, blah, blah, blah. Click on analytics. audience retention is going to be at the bottom of that first analytics page. Or, you know, don't, because, again, as Gover's pointing out, this is a great way to waste time and hate yourself. And maybe not actually the most productive use of anybody's time. Yes, it's per video. Yeah. So, you know, choose your best performing video, your worst performing video, your most recent video. Right on the content page as well, you will have what the... what does it say? Oh, I thought it did have right on the content page what the view time was, but apparently not. On the analytics dashboard, you will also see the one for the latest content, like the average view duration for your most recent content. Anyway, oh, sorry, there's that too. Like on the channel analytics page, that's what I was remembering. On the channel analytics page, you'll see there's a you'll see a list of all your top viewed content. The default is over the past month, so it'll show you like what has been viewed the most over the past month, which will usually be a mix of whatever you released most recently, plus some random videos from 5 years ago that have mysteriously done better. And it'll give you the average view duration and what percentage of the video that is. So I've got, you know, some 5-year-old video, average view duration 3 minutes and 10 seconds, which is 16% of that video. Then I've got a my chronic illness killed my illustration career. That's 5 minutes and 4 seconds, 19.8% of that video. My most recent botanical art painting video from that collaboration, 3 minutes and 53 seconds, 20.3%. Then another random video from 5 years ago, 301, 21%. So, yeah. I get certainly on, like my live stream retention obviously is lower, but if we're looking at my retention, it tends to start up around like 30% when it's first released. It drops down over time as things just get viewed by people searching, which is normal. But then it drops down to like usually in the 20s or lower, which is definitely quite low compared to some of the numbers that I see quoted by some creators, which would suggest that people are clicking off more than they need to, or, you know, whatever. Or it could just be that, yeah, but guess what? I'm a botanical artist and my content is like fundamentally a little bit dry. So a lot of people who are interested, sort of, in painting content are only going to watch some bit of my content and then they're going to drop off because they are going to go paint themselves, and that I cannot expect to have the same retention as, say, a Mr. Beast. Oh, No, I am absolutely not blaming you, Governor. I tend to agree. Part of my frustration is I feel I saw a video recently actually that put this into words, which is there's a big chunk of YouTube that is a pyramid scheme. And it is the how to make it on YouTube. Like the how to make it on YouTube channels are a pyramid scheme. How to make it on YouTube channels, right? Here's how you make videos that teach you how to make it on YouTube. And there's this whole YouTube industry, and some people are very successful at it. But even the ones who aren't are making videos about how to be successful on YouTube. And it's a pyramid scheme. But yeah, like I also am not particularly interested in just doing YouTube for the sake of doing YouTube. I'm an artist, and I think that, and I enjoy sharing like how to paint content and nerding out about things. But you know, I want to be an artist first and a YouTuber second. Not a YouTuber first. My shorts have done the best in the last 28 days. That's cool. I have very little experience with shorts. They scare me for some reason. Weird, huh? I have no problem making videos. I mean, I do have a problem making videos. I find editing absolutely horrifying. Why am I on YouTube? Why do I do this? Why do I do this to myself? Why do I do this to myself? Sorry. Ta-da. Attention average duration 421. Percentage 32. So you have a higher, well, percentage certainly than I do. You might have a slightly 30%. So you're like your retention time is similar to mine, but your videos are shorter, which is a somewhat better result. Both in terms of effort expended and how YouTube weighs that. Or how humans weigh that, to Gabor's point. That I tend to agree that, yeah, I mean, we can call it the algorithm, but ultimately it's, you know, it's people. But in terms of figuring out, like, how am I doing in terms of making content that people want to watch? Well, it's interesting to whatever. Hi, Mom. Hi, Lena. I am feeling somewhat better physically and a lot better because I actually got my MRI referral. Yay! There's something particularly crazy making and, you know, seems to have actual health impacts of being made to feel like a hypochondriac. So, the fact that I actually got the ER to pay attention this time around, and I'm getting an urgent MRI is good. Yeah. Small blessings. Okay, back to this view. Oh, that's interesting. Can I get something that's focused on those ones? Oof. so glad when you got mine after months and months of pain. What was your MRI for? So for anyone watching here who didn't get the various updates over the past few days, I went to the ER on Tuesday because my skull was feeling kind of unstable and I was getting popping in my neck and this like searing pain like someone was plucking a nerve like a guitar string, and I was told that it was a stiff neck and that I should go home and take some Tylenol. Which was very unpleasant. And even though I knew that was obviously not the case, and you know, I have in fact had a stiff neck before. I am 35, thank you. 35. Have a connective tissue disorder and a chronic pain condition. I think I've experienced a sore neck. I don't think I'm going to the ER over a sore neck. It's still kind of crazy making to hear that. I think they actually said both. Anyway, and what's more, we're in Canada, so some muscle relaxants are over the counter. So I took a Robax, and that made it intensely worse, which I kind of expected, but I kind of had to experience for myself because some little part of me was still believing the doctors when they say that you're a hypochondriac who has a stiff back or stiff neck. Thought you were my age? I'm 35. I look young because of my wonderful connective tissue disorder. I'm a few years older than you. Weather makes your head hurt. Okay, yes, alright. I mean, I also have that problem, and it occurred to me belatedly, you know, because I had this conversation with the doctor at like 2 a.m. that, I hope that they put a full, I think they did, and I think I can probably check before the actual MRI and make sure they added it, even if they didn't, but I hope that they put a full brain MRI as well as the cervical MRI on the requisition, because if I'm going to go into an MRI, you might as well do the whole thing. Even though it seems like all of my symptoms, like including the neurological symptoms, it seems like whatever lesions are all in the cervical spine area. Anyway, I went on Tuesday, I got sent home. The guy ran blood work and said, we'll call you back if there's anything spicy in the blood work. I guess the spice in the blood work was a little too mild, but I did have some interesting stuff in my blood work, like signs of, you know, moderate signs of inflammation, and which is actually unusual, as even when I very clearly am in a flare-up, my blood work rarely shows much in the way of inflammation. So that was kind of surprising. But also, my resting heart rate was 120? No, 115. My resting heart rate was 115 when I left the ER on Tuesday. So we went back on Thursday because things had just gotten worse, partially because I'd taken that Robax. And when I came in, my resting heart rate was 150. But I wasn't in to talk about my heart rate. I was in to talk about my neck. And I think they took my neck a little bit more seriously because the 150 heart rate was enough for me to be at the ER, and I didn't even mention it. So then they held me at the ER for many hours. I'm guessing they didn't want me to step out and have a stroke in the parking lot. And my heart rate had gone down to something a little bit more reasonable. It will take so long for the whole spine. Well, so I don't think they need to do my whole spine. They are going to do my cervical spine for sure. So just my neck, and base of my skull, and I hope that they put brain in there, like head brain in there as well. But I should be able to check that and make sure that it's in and get that added, even if it's not. Yeah. Yeah, so all of my symptoms, including the heart rate, so that was actually when they released me. I mean, when I came into the ER, I got an EKG at triage because I was sitting there with a pulse monitor on my finger talking to her about my neck while the nurse just went bug-eyed looking at her monitor. And I said, "Oh, is my heart rate high? It was high when I left here on Tuesday." And she said, "Can you come back here and get an EKG right now?" This is very high. It's 150. But it's regular sinus rhythm, and my blood pressure is all normal. Has been all along. So it's a signaling issue. It means it's neurological. So, which was the doctor's observation, is I'm less likely to have a stroke or anything, because it's not, it's not irregular, it's not just part of my heart that's not beating properly. It is just the signaling is telling it to speed up too much, which is not great, but it's less likely to cause any immediate issues. And it's a neurological problem, not a heart problem. So, hence MRI. Yeah, I mean, I assume that they have to get at least part of the brain too, because the one issue has to do with my spine. Like, the one possible explanation is that my spine is interacting with my brainstem. Anyway, the guy basically confirmed what I had already Googled, which is, you know, and when I spoke to the other doctor, I was trying to convince him, like, I need some tests, whatever, but I was approaching it wrong, I guess. And although he couldn't offer an explanation for, like, okay, what is it if not neurological, he still, like, oh, don't jump to MS or something's up with your spine. Okay, but if it's not that, then what is it? Which is basically what the second doctor said, is he looked at it and he said, well, it's definitely something neurological. We're not going to find it on an x-ray. And it's urgent, but it's not, you know, bump people down the list tonight, urgent at 2 a.m. So you'll get a call. Which all makes sense. I'm just glad that I don't have to sit in the... it's a year-long wait in my region. I actually checked. And it would be a year-long wait after a neurologist referral. So it would be over a year if I had to wait for a... MRI. So, you know, waiting a week versus a year. Yeah, so they have, I mean, I could get it faster. I would just have to be referred to somewhere else in the province. But in my city, in my region, the wait for an MRI, if it's not priority, is a year. So they have levels of priority. So they have emergency, you're currently having a stroke. Bump everyone off, you get the MRI right now. They have level 2, which is, I guess, where I'm at. They have a level 3, and then they have a level 4. So level 2 is like, this is pretty urgent, there's something serious now, but it's not gonna make a huge difference if you have it a week from now, probably. Yeah, so the care standard is supposed to be a month, but it's very variable around the province. So some parts of the province are actually at a month, some parts of the province are at a year. Now, I mean, I would much, much sooner just travel to Toronto and get it within probably 2 months. Or in Toronto, there's actually private clinics that take our provincial health insurance, but they're not attached to it. It's complicated, whatever. So I could also potentially do that. But I don't have to do any of that because I got a priority appointment. So it'll be in the next couple weeks. So my particular region of the province is very overloaded. There's, like, some of it is just population changes where I'm in a city. So if you look at Canada, here, let me doodle a map of Canada, right? What am I going to doodle a map of Canada on? Something. Not this. Not that. Whatever. No, I'm not. Okay. You have Canada. It's a big country. And then you have where all the people live, which is in this tiny little horseshoe around Toronto. And so I'm sort of on the edge of that. And so I was in a city that was pretty small, and then the commuter rail extended out to here from Toronto, and you know, prices got so high that people started commuting into the big city from here. So there's been a huge amount of population growth here. Some of it from commuters, some of it from like tech development, and we got a light rail system and stuff. So over the past 10 years, the population here has like tripled or something. And the hospital resources have not grown have not kept up. So all of our medical system is way overloaded in the region. And that is specifically a regional problem. Now, again, like, there's nothing preventing you from going to another region. You just ask your doctor to give you a referral in a different city, and that's fine. But it just sucks. The other issue is we have a conservative government who has cut health services and not expanded services as they should. So, you know, on the whole, things have gotten worse. I need to put this over here. What am I painting today? I am painting an Encrusted Saxifrage, which is an Arctic, like a polar circle species that there's something called an Arctic disjunct, where things that usually only exist in the Arctic, there's little pockets where they exist in isolated little pockets much, much further south, because Canada went through glaciation, and so the glaciers advanced. There was a whole much larger area that had more polar conditions than the glaciers receded, and certain little pockets have ecosystems that have plants and animals from way up further north. And so the island that I went to a residency on, Porphyry Island, is an Arctic disjunct. It has polar species. It's an island in the middle of a lake that has species that don't exist for another 2,000 kilometers further north. And so this is Encrusted Saxifrage, which grows all over the rocks there, and is a polar species. So it's like a succulent, looks kind of like hens and chicks, or mother of millions is the other name for it, the whatever, like houseplant succulent type things. But it's an Arctic type, and it flowers, and it was flowering when I was there, and I got a bunch of reference photos. I'm doing a painting of this, and I am here, I'll show you some reference sketches. I've got reference photos in my Discord as well. But earlier in the stream, I was talking about some of the... sorry, brain's not working again. Give me a moment. Botanical art. Traditionally, botanical art does things like this, where you focus on exactly one plant and you remove all of the other stuff from the background so that you don't have distractions and you can just learn the structure of the plant. And that is great if the only thing you care about with a plant is its structure. But that doesn't tell you anything about the environment it lives in, or what other species it needs to survive, or where you might find it, or how it might appear in its natural environment. So it's a very colonial Victorian specimen collector. Here's my individual perfect little specimen in a bell jar. But plants don't grow in bell jars. So I feel like that's a norm in botanical art that needs to be challenged. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its place. Sometimes that is a valuable way to represent things, but that part of what's missing in our understanding of botany and plants and ecology in general is how everything is interconnected. And so I'm trying to explore ways to highlight that. And so for this piece, I am painting my Encrusted Saxifrage, which is this little succulent thing, but I'm also painting the surrounding rock and sky or lake. I'm going to do, so the surrounding rock, it's, the reason this Arctic disjunct exists is because this is a little patch of volcanic rock in a cold lake. So it stays much colder. And so it's black rock because it's volcanic, basalt, and it's got all kinds of these like bright orange lichen on it. So I'm going to represent some of the lichen. I am going to put the Encrusted Saxifrage and then the bright, like strong blue of the sky and water. And so because you have orange lichen and the bright blue, it's a very striking contrast. And then this Encrusted Saxifrage is like, it's not this showy thing that stands out on its own. So like I want it to be the main focus, but I think it also makes sense to highlight that it's in this like very, very striking environment, and it's this powdery green thing. So that is my goal today. And I want to get this painting done partially because there's a sort of related there's a few related things that I want to finish my applications for in the next little while. So yeah. So I'm doing this. This is going to turn into a video as well as, because I have videos of myself sketching out there. And it's also going to get sent back to Porphyry Island as my artist contribution for this year. Because I did a residency there and I'm not required to do anything, but they do like it when artists send in piece, so which they can then have in their gallery, and I want to stay in their good graces because I want their help organizing a double exhibition. So they've promised me an exhibition, like a solo exhibition in their gallery at the island, which will be wonderful, but I also would like to make it into a double where, because this is on an island that's really only accessible via charter boat, or if you have your own yacht, which obviously makes it kind of a limited thing that's not super accessible to the public. I would also like to have a double exhibition where I show this work on Porphyry Island, but also on the mainland, just away from it. And I'm not local. This is 1,000 kilometers north of where I live, so I need their help. So I need to stay in their good graces. This is gonna get sent over. I mean, like, there's a few things. Their impressions are probably mostly good, but on the other hand, so this is a very small organization that runs this. You know, they have, well, now 2 paid staff members, but one of them, the managing director there, he takes the role of the lighthouse keeper. So this is a, you know, historical site with a lighthouse. And I don't know why, but Ember does not like the man at all. She barks at him non-stop. Ember loves everyone, but she hates this guy. And she's quiet, like she knows how to behave and she doesn't bark at people, but she hates this guy. So, you know, whenever he shows up in the house, she starts barking. Like, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then the last, like, she did this last year and we thought, oh, okay, well, she does do a thing when in like unfamiliar situations where if it's like at home, she can sit outside our front yard and she won't bark because, you know, this is all normal, but she will alert to things that are not normal. And so when we're out like camping or something, suddenly she gets a little bit more barky because she thinks, you know, oh, we're out in the wilderness alone, and then somebody disrupts our solitude, and how dare you, this is my provincial park, I guess. I don't know. I don't speak dog. But sorry, I'm losing my train of thought again. Anyway, so we thought it was just that. And like, okay, well, it'll take her a moment to get used to Paul. So this time I tried, and she got used to all, like, she got used to the other artist in residence, she got used to the other staff member, she got used to everyone, she got used to, like, tourists who came by. She was completely fine with everyone except Paul. She was still not fine with Paul. And we were there for 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks, she's still not fine with Paul. And Paul decided, okay, well, I'm gonna fix this. And he started chasing her around the table. Our last night there, he starts chasing her around the table, which is a game that I play with her. And she's running away, and for a moment it was like, oh, okay, they're just having a, like, maybe playing with her will, you know, solve her problem. But it turned out then, like, I realized just a moment too late. I was like, Paul, stop chasing her. She's not happy. She got so terrified, she ran into the front hall, squatted down, and peed in terror in the front hall of the bunkhouse. And then for the rest of the evening, like, we all felt bad. I cleaned it up, and then I was like, okay, well, let's try a different tack. Let's try to get him to give her treats. So her favorite treat is peanut butter. I gave him a spoonful of peanut butter, and he wouldn't take peanut butter. He wouldn't even take peanut butter from, she wouldn't even take peanut butter from me if it was within a meter of him. And whenever he looked at her or talked to her, she'd, like, just low growl for the rest of the day. Didn't even show us the lighthouse. I think I have video of the lighthouse. If not, I'll have to get some. I definitely have pictures of the lighthouse. Do I have video of the lighthouse? I must have video of the lighthouse. Well, I mean, I think that was really the problem, is he can be very, like, he's one of these people who can be very intense, and he tried to play with her, so, you know, he'd, like, do a little bit of a chase, and usually she loves that, but it's just, you know, some combination of things, some whatever. This is a hatred that I've only ever seen her show to, like, she can smell when people are like really drugged out. So if it's like, you know, a meth head goes diving for her, that's when we hear that low growl. But in any case, she really does not like this one guy, and it's a bit of an unfortunate choice of person to deeply dislike. Amber, I need you to get along with the person who's helping me. honestly, Paul's also one of those people who, like, he really likes being the center of attention. Well, so does Ember. Ember also likes being the center of attention, but Ember's very successful at it. So when Paul's trying to hold court with the tourists and all they want to talk about is dog, he also wasn't terribly impressed. So the dislike may have been a little bit mutual. I'm sorry, this is probably intensely boring because I don't have any color on here and it's probably very hard to see. I'm gonna wash this off and then I will be right back. Okay, and then I'm gonna start painting in a few of these. Let's see. Ooh, Dan, I've put your manganese blue into this palette. It's all Roman schmal except for one of Dan's paints. Okay, well, maybe I'm just projecting because I get bored after a while just doing pencil work. Need some, need a little bit of, color to keep my interest. Animals get just... I really enjoyed that camel. Oh my goodness. That was a fun camel. By the way, the sepia brown Pentel pens are almost black. Best to use a different ink if you want a brown one. But I have one currently inked with a Rohr and Klinger and it works wonderfully. I'm honestly just terrified of having to deal with filling pens with oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry, I'm honestly just terrified with having to fill pens. Sorry. Ah, my goodness. Sorry, my brain. What was I doing? Brain. Having to fill pens with a syringe. Okay, it's interesting. Very lifting. That's the opposite of what I remember with these. Wow, okay. Good to know. So I am using an aqua board here because I'm planning to do some of the details by scraping away. So I have been painting almost exclusively on board, but the boards I usually use are not this. The boards I usually use are just regular watercolor paper that's laminated to aluminum composite panel. But then it has the same limitations on scraping away paint. Like you can do this once, or you can do it once or twice, but you know you're cutting into the paper. And I wanted to experiment with aqua board for cases where I want to do a fair bit of detailing by scraping. Aquaboard is a clay substrate on MDF. But I had only used it a tiny bit, and years ago, and I was much less experienced with watercolor, and my recollections of it were it was really easy to build up tone and then you couldn't lift it back out. And I don't know how I got that impression, because oh my goodness, does it ever just lift like mad. Like, I can just push this pigment around. So that's going to be interesting. Okay, let's do this. Well, in that case, if I can push it around that easily, right, well then. Just gonna do this. Then I don't even need to worry about it so much. I can just put all of this down and then lift it up later. yeah, it just lifts right up. I had that experience with there's something called clayboard, which is the same stuff but a much smoother finish, and that one just lifts right off. But I figured that this one was, I don't know how I got the impression that this one was difficult to lift, because it lifts like mad. Okay, well, you know what? I'm just gonna enjoy that. Okay, I need more water. Why the fear? I am a gigantonormous spaz, so I would just end up with syringes on the floor. Probably full syringes on the floor. Spreading ink and needles everywhere. I have mixed feelings about things that lift super easily. This is feeling kind of nice. It's a different approach. And so I think it depends on the subject and what I'm trying to achieve and stuff, and I wouldn't want to use this for everything. I am going to go get some more water. I'll be right back. And yes, Lana, we are very in sync sometimes. It's great. I like the effect this lifting is getting with being able to sort of push into the corners between these. They're leaves, but they look like petals. It's kind of like painting on vellum, except more textured. So the texture does make it a little bit easier to work with. I am having trouble getting perfectly sharp edges, but I wonder, like with scraping away, whether that can get some really sharp edges. Maybe add some ink. Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, the last time I used aquaboard, I mean, I used clayboard, and clayboard was a disaster because it is so smooth and so lifting that it just you just can't get. Any sort of definition on it. I mean, with traditional watercolor, I'm sure there are ways to. People do all sorts of cool things with clayboard, but it didn't work for what I wanted it to work for. Yeah, so then here I can just, oh, okay, this is interesting. Yeah, I can just sort of endlessly pick and lift and pick and lift and pick and lift. I don't know that is, this may lead to it looking overworked, which actually, so the last time I used this was, before I was just starting out with watercolor, and you know, I got myself my first professional watercolors, I got myself a few different kinds of paper, and I got myself these. And I did enjoy the aquaboard that one time, but if anything, I was just wrong about how watercolor works. I think is basically the gist there, but okay, so this could just get to looking pretty overworked pretty quickly, is I think part of the issue. It's not so much that it gets, I was just mistaking overworked for too dark. You can lift it up, it just, if you don't do it right, you're gonna end up with things that just look overworked. That's fine. This I can manage. In fact, I quite like it. Okay, we're learning. Every day is a learning experience. Oh, for sure, for sure. Like, when I say, I was beginner, like, this was just, so before I started, you know, doing art more publicly, before I was publicly sharing that my art career dreams, I guess, I started the Society of Botanical Artists diploma program. Sorry, I'm gonna grab a roll of paper to dab, and I think it was before I'd even started that. So like, I can share some of what my artwork looked like back then. I can probably even find the piece that I did on this stuff. But I had no idea about anything. In fact, you know, I have some funny anecdotes about just how my nerdiness about choosing paints back then presented, where I was doing frequency polling of what paints different artists were using, like which paint from which brands. I didn't know anything about pigments. I didn't know, like, I knew nothing at all. And I, for whatever reason, I at the time thought, oh, this is kind of annoying because things get stuck into this paper and I can't, they get really dark. It absorbs too much, or whatever. I don't know. Clearly I was wrong. It was just surprising now because I had this long standing assumption about this stuff that couldn't be more wrong. So just trying to figure out, what was I thinking back then? Okay. Yeah, all right. Because if I take this little eradicator brush, for example, and I go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go erase this, I can erase it probably right back to white. Or can I erase it back to almost white? It's almost white. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, I can sort of see where I was struggling. Because it lifts easily, but the staining pigments will stain a little. So it's very easy to end up with something that's almost white, but not quite. So maybe that's what I was catching. Fascinating. Fascinating. So this is my mostly Roman Schmal palette that's got my Wild Curiosity palette, link in the video description, and it's also got one of Dan's paint. So it's got Dan's manganese blue. So I had, when I took this to Porphyry Island, I took when I took this to Porphyry Island, I took Prussian blue, which I made the choice that while using straight Lake Superior water and painting on panels that were going to be sealed with wax, so that they're not going to be exposed to, so the paints aren't going to be exposed to air for a long while, that Prussian blue was probably safer, less likely to fade than it is under my regular circumstances, and thus I was going to indulge my love for that color, even though it's not usually super light fast. But I'm back home with my very, very hard water. So no Prussian blue for me. And this painting wants some manganese. So mostly the same palette I took there, but it's got manganese blue in it now. Prussian blue is a weird color. Prussian blue is a super weird color. But I kind of love it. For PB60, but why not both? I do have PB60. And usually I just use a mix of PB60 and PB16 if I want a Prussian blue shade. Because that is light fast. But what if I take this? Oh, and I can round this out and I can put the little extra one in here. That is kind of neat. Just how liftable these things are. Yeah, let's just give me a little thing over here. Who needs to draw in pencil at all? Fascinating. Where did I put my... this one? It is this one. Okay, good. I have 18 wells. Can't have both. 18. Well, I don't know. Here's my... what is this? 21 well? 21 pan palette? Too many. But it's doing the trick. Do you happen to have the Winsor & Newton watercolor markers? I'm struggling to find a good use case for them. I do not, and I'm sorry. I don't understand watercolor markers or watercolor pencils. Like I can't get my brain around how they're supposed to be used. What I actually mean is you should buy the core palette. You should give me all your money. This is the Wild Curiosity palette with a bunch of extra paints in it. Some of them you can even buy on my website. Link in the description. I am kidding, of course. I'm sure that everyone watching here has more than enough watercolors. And yet. Real influencer talk. You should give me all your money. Right? I gotta get comfortable with this selling business. Sound like a pro. Blasphemy. Thanks, Lana. My best marketer over here. I recommend Misty Morning as an addition. Yes, Misty Morning is a very valuable addition. I will second that recommendation. And it's also available on the website, which helps, because some of the things that I maybe would recommend for whatever reason, I didn't order as extras. Sometimes I question my own sense. Often I question my own sense. Hi, Mark. Welcome here. We were just having a very serious talk about how I should get better at selling. And start paying Lana a commission. Affiliate links just for Lana. It's shipping from Canada. Shipping from my home studio. And I still owe you an original painting, which is gonna ship with whatever the next thing I ship to you is. I haven't forgotten about you. I do still have your painting. I also still owe you a class. But that won't stop me from selling you a palette. Kind of hesitating because it has PY150. We can't be friends. Well, let me tell you, my earth yellow here, oh my goodness, this is PBR 24, and it is such an opaque yellow. Look at my opaque yellow. Okay, let me, you can't use this excuse on me. Do you use oil sometimes or just watercolor? That's a great question. I am very inexperienced with oils, but I think oils are really cool. At a residency last year, I got some coaching from an oil painter. It was a group residency, and I do have some oils here. My lovely oil painting kit. And I haven't experimented with them very much yet, but they're here and I do plan to use them. And yeah, I can answer some oil questions, but not a huge amount because, again, I've only done very, very little oil. Sorry, back to my opaque yellow. We wanted to talk about how I don't love opaque yellows, right? Okay, I don't love most opaque yellows. Here, this is a Pentel pocket brush pen. I'm going to make it nice, dark. Any chance you could swap that PY150 to basically any other color if I order one? Sure, take your pick. I mean, what I'll do, and this is special for you. This is not an offer that I'm offering everyone. You can't just swap colors. But PY150 is the one color that I will constantly run out of in all of my palettes. So I don't mind adding another pen to my own set. And you can, what would you like? Can be from the store, or it can probably even be not from the store. Old coffee house drawings I did 20 years ago. Okay, sorry. So, PBR 24, my opaque yellow. I can actually probably find you an opaque yellow. Okay, so this, it is an earth yellow, but it's very vibrant for an earth tone. This is a PBR 24. And check out that opaqueness. See how opaque that is? Is this opaque enough for you? Or yellow enough for you? And then here's the the real yellow, PY 150. And we can still be friends, even if you're just wrong about yellows. Yes, okay. Fair enough. I can swap it out for something less tinting. Even if, just for the record, you're still wrong. I admit I'm wrong, but okay. I'm wrong. Regret it. Yeah. Well, I mean, PY 150 is the color that, yeah, I'm always gonna want some more of it. So yes, I can swap that out for you. I'll just tease you about it. That's just what's gonna happen. Maybe a PY 3. Yeah, so probably what I'll end up doing is I do have a bunch of other Roman Schmal yellows that got sent to me. So if anything, I'll probably just swap it out for a different yellow in the collection of yellows that I'm never going to use because I have one true yellow. Position already done on handmade canvas boards. Long time to this point. It's like the one ring, the one yellow. Yes, exactly. Since apparently the theme of today's stream is all the things that I'm talking about, all the things that I'm like oddly scared of, I've found oils oddly intimidating, and I've realized it's less about the oil painting and more about like sort of the lore that's built up around it with like, oh, you need these mediums and this thing and that thing and fat over lean and where it, like, kind of like watercolor, you can actually just pick up oils and paint with them, and you don't really need any mediums, and you know, maybe you choose one, choose a medium, try it, and you can figure all of that other stuff out over time. They weren't really, yeah, like, oils had been built up by like art classes and stuff as like, I don't know, some like complicated thing that real painters use. And you know, I'm even that, like, I'm a real painter now. I'm not but now I've got my medium. Okay, have a good nap. Yes, my watercolors are more fresh and direct. I use watercolor for live painting. Yeah, so, but I did do, you know, my introduction to oils, my actual introduction to oils was, plein air, a la prima. And it's not actually, you know, it's like gouache. It's a different thought process than watercolor in terms of how you tend to build up color and how you, it's like more of a sculptural sort of take. But nothing to be afraid of, really. So it was really fun. I really enjoyed using oils. The truth is, actually, I paint on panels now. I'm comfortable with watercolors, and there's a lot of things that I do like about watercolors, so I do suspect that watercolors are always going to be my primary medium. I do want to experiment with oils partially because of the change in how you approach layers, like this sculptural, you have a background and you start bringing things out of the background rather than you're always darkening, so you're always sort of pushing into the shadows. It changes how you view the world, and I think that's valuable even for bringing back to watercolor. But because I have a fairly established, at this point, watercolor practice, I'm not, it's like, it should, I mean, probably be like an outing, a video, a live stream or something where I start really, you know, experimenting with oil paint, because it's not going to be, I keep thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, when I'm done this project, when I'm done that project, and it's not going to be, it isn't going to be when I'm done this project or done that project. It's really going to have to be a, some time that I set aside to try something different. Bye, Mom. How do you like the Aquarius burnt orange? Is it similar to the OG Daniel Smith burnt orange? I like it fine. It is if it's not discontinued yet, it's about to be. It was not available as a choice to put in the palette. The PO48. So if you want it, now's the time to get it, but you can't get it from me because I couldn't get my hands on it. If Jackson still has it or something. I got to study watercolor portraiture from Phoebe Flory in New Hampshire years ago. Wow, cool. Why did I think this was going to be a one session painting? That is ridiculous. It was never going to be a one session. Sometimes I have some really bizarre thoughts about how long things take me. I should have known that this was going to be like several days of painting. My mistake. It's the Aquarius orange in your palette. Oh, the Aquarius orange. Yes, sorry. The Aquarius orange is lovely. It is most similar to the it's the same pigment as the Winsor Newton transparent orange. It is my favorite orange in the world. Now, if you say you also don't want a staining transparent orange, then I don't know what to do for you. Here, I got my palette here. Let's get you a sample of this one. Okay. Obviously all my paints are contaminated because that's how I roll. Alright, here we go. Like this, but brighter because my paints are always contaminated. Hooray! It's nice, it's bright, it's transparent, it's not quite as aggressive as PY150 because not everything in life can be perfect. Can I link the database? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely link the database. Oh my goodness, the amount of free marketing you give me, like go market yourself all the time. I'm in mixed chicken, lots of venture. The vignette, painting, planning the white space. Oh, vignette. Okay. So let me, add a vignette like this. So at one point, PO48 was on my list of essential pigments, and I've been very good. I knew that it was getting discontinued. I did not stock up. It got discontinued. I did not stock up. I could have stocked up for life, but I didn't. I do, however, still have PO49. And every so often feel like I need it for a painting, and then I do use it, and then I feel like, oh no, what's gonna happen when I do run out? Which won't be for years, but you know. So actually, It's a bay. What I'm doing for this painting, Lana, my favorite marketer, can you grab the link, well, it's also in the video description, but throw a Discord link into the chat. So I've posted on Discord some of my references for this painting, I am actually going to put a full background on it. So it's not going to be vignetted. So it's not going to be like the traditional, you know, plain white background botanical piece. This is going to have a full background because I think that highlighting the environment that it's in is important. So I've got some sketches from my residency that I was at, and it's going to have, it's on some basalt rock, it's going to have basalt rock, it's going to have bright orange lichen all around it, and it's going to have a bright blue background. And my challenge here is I need to make my main subject stand out, even though it is much, much, much more subtle than its surroundings, but I think that it's important to put that context in the piece. So that's my challenge here. I use the PO49 hues and they work for me. I mean, and probably that's what I would do. The truth is, with so many discontinued pigments, I caved and then found a way to stock up like mad. So I have an insane amount of PY153. I have a truly, truly staggering lifetime supply of Thio-Indigo Violet, which I don't even keep in my regular palettes because it's not super light fast, but it's pretty. I have manganese blue. I do use manganese blue is being used today, right now. And back in the day, I swore, oh my goodness, like if PO48 gets discontinued, man, I'm gonna stock up. I did not stock up. And I'm fine. I don't have it in my palettes, and it's okay. Oh no, you're so sweet. There are a lot of very skilled botanical artists in the world. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is all messy. My goodness. All right. Is your palette listed on the shop page? You can find it through search. Sorry, is it not? It should be under. Is it not under supplies? Okay, I will double check my. Shopify's been giving me trouble, and it's possible that we deleted some direct links while trying to solve a different issue. So I do a lot of live painting as well. This is this is a bizarre technique even for me, because this is aquaboard, and it's extremely lifting. It's got a clay surface on it, and it's just like I'm pushing around pigment. So this is one of those experiments. Might try oils next. I am in Canada, just north of you. So I'm in southwestern Ontario, Kitchener-Waterloo. And I do botanical art, mostly. Except I mostly actually paint a lot of lichen, which aren't technically plants. So, not technically botanical. Natural science illustration, but, you know, plant-like in the sense of they're not moving around, sort of. Botanical things are my my bread and butter. But I also do a fair bit of on-location sketching, urban sketching, landscape. And most Fridays, when my health allows, I do a live stream here on YouTube. I've recently started posting edited videos again, now that my brain is working just well enough that I can manage that. Maybe by Christmas it'll arrive. It should arrive sooner. I've got, so the neat thing, that the one redeeming feature of Shopify that's been driving me crazy recently, but Shopify does have one very nice redeeming feature, which is a 50% discount on tracked shipping. Your palette will be shipped out on Monday, and it will be fulfilled by my lovely assistant, who is much more on top of getting things done than I am. And it will arrive in the next probably week or two. And you'll get a tracking link sent to you by Shopify, so I don't have to be involved. And yes, I do have stickers, I have lots of things. Very exciting. Yeah, it's just the last time I sent Gabor stuff that, I mean, first of all, I think I was super ill, so I promised to send some stuff, and then it did not get sent for a very long time. And then once it did get sent, because I was shipping with the full price Canada post shipping, I used, you know, the best budget option that was offered to me, which was not great. But Shopify has a built-in discount. So you get the best shipping that would usually be double that price. I know. Oh my goodness. Really? Really? Are you loud? Yeah, you were quiet at the ER for hours yesterday? You were? There was a good girl at the ER? Yeah? And now there's not, now there's a loud girl? Okay. All right, I'm gonna let a dog outside. One moment. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Oh yeah, but shipping should just be faster this time because it's a faster stream. It's like, are you gonna send, so there's like a tracked airmail service, and that's the base that Shopify offers on their shipping. So like I made some selections of, you know, this is how big the things are, and here's the options that I want to include. And now Ember wants to come back in. Yes, that's very much Ember. It needs to be the center of attention at all times. Very extremely well behaved when she needs to be, and at all other times she's just a little monster. I just got notified that, so the Guild of Natural Science Illustrators, the in-person conference is back on next year. In New Hampshire, I think. And they've got their call for submissions out. So I should decide if I want to teach a class, teach a workshop, and submit a pitch to them. Because that would be fun. Where did I put? No, not this thing. That thing. There we go. It's actually pretty good timing because since you want a replacement yellow, and I was just about to send a bunch of my replacement yellows off to be used by some school children. My studio mate is teaching some 7th graders, and so I've cleaned up all my excess paints that I'm not going to use. And of course, since my taste in yellows is so specific, it was the first thing to set aside was like, well, this is not the yellow I'm going to use. But I can pull one out of one of the palettes, replace it, and send you a replacement yellow. Okay, I am really liking the variation that's showing up in here. It just feels a little fun, like, yeah. Yeah. To be fitting to the pad. Oh yes, like a daily leaf, but for a month. Yes. I strongly recommend everyone do a daily art challenge for a month once. Having done a couple of daily art challenges for a month and then the daily leaf for a year, I think I'm fully done with daily art challenges. That isn't happening ever again. Sorry, I shouldn't say ever. It's not happening. I have absolutely no plans to do more daily art challenges anytime soon. Never say never. I'm 100% sure that I won't be able to do daily challenge, but filling a sketchbook maybe. I have a Saunders Waterford with 25 pages. I mean, if you go look through the daily leaf, there were days where literally, like, there were a couple days where, you know, what did I do? I went outside, I found a blueberry leaf, and then I did this. Like, okay, well, here's a leaf. One side of the leaf, it's sort of pinkish. I already have some paint on my palette. Let's see, one side of the leaf, like so, and the other side of the leaf, oh, whoops, kind of killed that vein in the middle. There we go, that's a leaf. I painted a leaf. See, aren't you proud of me? That's a little leaf blueberry right there. Which is the only way to do a daily leaf challenge or daily art challenge if you're going to do it for a whole year. Like, there are days where you're going to be ill or tired or have other things to do, and you literally have 30 seconds. I mean, there were also days where, you know, okay, well, it took 11 hours to do a, I think that was the record, was one day that took 11 hours to finish. Plus there were several where it was multiple leaves in one painting, so multiple days. But, yeah. Yes. Maybe I need to have, you know how big YouTubers have second channels? Maybe I need to have like a second Instagram for just the just the palettes. I'm actually an abstract artist working in palettes. the palettes are much more representative of like what most of my life looks like. Hot mess. I'm sorry, I'm hearing some squeaking outside. Amber! Oh, look, they're squeaking! Look, they're squeaking! Oh, silly! Oh, silly! Sorry? Yep. All right, I should probably take a break soon. Have myself some dinner. All right, I think this is probably it for me. Yeah. It's nice seeing you all, and I will see you next week. And maybe I'll still be working on this, or maybe I'll magically finish this and have posted a video about it.